I was 15 the summer it happened. My parents had gone to a late shift at the hospital and left me the house for the evening. I asked my neighbor and best friend, Mark, to come over. Same school, same dumb jokes, and we ended up killing time in the living room until Mark, out of nowhere, said, "Let's play hide and seek." It sounded stupid, but the house had all these weird little corners, and we were bored enough to make it thrilling. We agreed on a few rules. No going outside after dark, no climbing into the attic, and absolutely no messing with the locked storage under the stairs. Everything else was fair game. We switched who counted first, and Mark chose to hide. I covered my eyes on the couch and said the numbers out loud, trying to make my voice steady while my skin prickled. 1, 2, 3. The house listened to me, its woodboards answering with tiny groans. When I finished, I called, "Ready or not, here I come." I checked the kitchen first because it was right there, moved through the hallway and looked under every bed I could. I opened the guest room door slow, expecting Mark to leap out. The room was dark and still. I crouched and peered under the bed. Nothing. I turned to the closet and pulled it open. Empty. I went down to the basement next, slipping past the laundry machines. The basement smelled like old boxes and cold air. For a second I thought I heard a laugh, soft and close, but then it stopped. I kept searching until I found Mark folded behind some stacked crates, grinning like he had fooled me. He said, "Took you long enough?" I told him he hid too well. We swapped places. This time I hid in the guest room, curled up beneath the bed with the skirt pulled tight. My heart kept time with every faint house noise. Minutes later, I heard Mark padding down the hallway, slow, careful, his footsteps even and normal. He checked the bathroom, my parents' room, and the closets. When he finally reached the guest room, I could hear his breath, a soft, ordinary sound. He stopped just outside the bed. I waited, expecting the rustle of the skirt and the shout that I'd been found. Silence. Long silence. I lay still until my muscles in my legs cramped. Eventually, I crawled out, thinking he must have gotten distracted and left. I called that the round was over. A voice answered from downstairs. "I'm still looking." It sounded like Mark, so I joked, "Really? Where?" He shouted something muffled back, and I said, "I'm in the kitchen." A second later, Mark climbed the stairs and came into the light, looking puzzled. "How did you get upstairs so fast?" I said, "I found you under the bed." He frowned and said he had checked that room and that he had heard someone breathing in there, but he hadn't seen me. We laughed it off and played again, but an unease had settled between us. Later, while I was counting, I thought I heard a soft thump above, like a box being pushed. When I went to check, the house was empty. Mark reappeared from the laundry room, and we kept going until both of us were tired. We sat on the couch and turned on the TV, just to drown the silence. Then the sound came, a heavy thud from the upstairs hallway, like something large falling. Neither of us moved at first. We told ourselves it was nothing, a shelf, the house settling, and then came the slow creak of footsteps, deliberate and measured, moving along the upstairs hall. We snapped at each other in a whisper. Should we check? Mark's face was pale. He said, "No way, but if someone's in the house, we can't just stay." I grabbed the metal poker from beside the fireplace and we crept up the stairs. At the top, the guest room door that I had left cracked open earlier was now closed tight. I knew I hadn't left it that way. We stood frozen. From the other side of the door came a dragging noise, like fabric being pulled slowly along the carpet. My hands were shaking. I told myself I wasn't being dramatic. I reached for the knob and shoved the door wide. The room was empty. The closet hung half open, and the bed sheets lay still. I yanked the closet panes wide. Only coats and a stack of boxes were inside. We made small, shaky laughs, trying to unmake the fear with humor. Then, a different sound. Not upstairs, downstairs. The front door had opened and closed. We didn't think. We ran.
We bolted into my room, switched the lights off, and hid under the edge of the bed with the poker pressed between us. The house breathed around us. At first, there was nothing. Then faint footsteps on the main floor. Someone moving slowly, looking. Our phones were back by the couch, dead calm. I whispered that we might slip out the bedroom window. It was too small. The only clear route was past the stairs. Footsteps crept toward the basement. The basement door opened. Step by step, someone descended. Relief hit us so hard we almost laughed. Whoever it was had gone down, and we used that moment to run. We shot down the stairs, through the kitchen, and out the back door into the yard. We didn't stop until we were at Mark's porch across the street. His parents called the police. Officers with flashlights moved room to room. They found no signs of forced entry, no footprints in the dust. They said it was likely the old house settling, or kids out on a dare. Maybe that's what it was, but Mark and I both knew what we'd heard. For weeks, I couldn't sleep without thinking someone was walking the hall just outside my door. We never played that game again. Sometimes when the wind pushes a loose shutter, the house makes the same old noises, and I freeze, listening for breathing that shouldn't be there. Maybe it was a stranger who slipped away when the back door slammed. Maybe it was nothing at all. But I still hear the slow, careful steps in my dreams. And sometimes, when the house is very quiet, I swear I can hear someone counting under their breath. 1, 2, 3.